Hi guys, just a quick update on where we stand. Tomorrow will be 2 weeks since my last video of my compost area, and also just a bit of update on the plants that we planted and the seedlings that we had 2 weeks ago. So just bear with me, I'm trying to do my own video today. I've been told I'm not the best video person, so just hold on. Right, so let's just go here. Oh, Biala. So we've got some of our carrots that's growing here. And there you go. So carrots is one of those veggies that you always sow directly into the soil. Biala. Come. Biala. Rosie. Here we've got our turnips. The turnips are getting a bit bigger. Just get the dogs out. So I think maybe one more week and then we should be able to transplant them. In the back there I've got my broad beans getting nice and big. So this is 2 weeks since our last video, guys. We had major rainfall, we had major storms here. Yes, that could have helped. That last day I also had some extra seeds that I've just added here. So it always helps to know what type of veg you've planted, and because when you start pulling out your weeds, you have to identify the seedlings that you've got. So these ones are all small radishes that I've just added. You can see there it's got a nice pink stem on the bottom and it's got a round leaf. This is a weed. Each yard will have different weed. This is a tomato plant coming up here. There you go. So you've got to be able to identify what is a weed, what is not. These are carrots, nicely in a row. These are my baby spinaches. As you can see there, baby spinaches. And then here, I actually planted some spring onions. But yeah, not coming up really. And if they are, see here, some of them are coming up. But Bella loves this area, so I don't know how many plants I'm going to have left after Bella's finished. It is also possible with all the rain that we had that all my seeds might have moved down to the bottom there, because Cape Town, the Cape of Storms, and I've got to go through everything today and make sure that I'm pulling out the right weeds. So this one here, you can see the red there on the bottom. That is a beetroot. You can see the red. So I've got to go through everything today and quickly pull out the weeds before it gets any bigger, and see if I can maybe make a plan to keep Bella out of my garden. Come, Bella. Come, Bella. Right, Remy, take Bella for a play. Come. I've got a potato coming up. So because I'm using a cold compost, all of the seeds will not be killed and it won't be turned into a normal organic material. So I always have a lot of seeds coming up. So this is just to show the different items that I've got in my compost today. I've got some of the papers here that we clean Goofy's cage with daily. So there's a lot of bits of pieces of fruit and veg that he eats. Carrots, some oranges, apples, egg shells, card box, toilet rolls. So what I'll be doing today is just to give it a layer of some of my compost that I've got on this side, just to make sure that you actually layer your compost. So I've got enough of my mixed items here, and today I'll just be filling it up. I'll show you the results at the end of it. Morning guys, cold day here in Cape Town today. It's 16th of July and I've shown you some snippets of my video of my garden and my compost and everything, getting ready basically for summer. So we've got 2 weeks before we need to start getting our seeds in soil and get ready for summertime. So Cape Town is a nice place. Our winters are not that cold. We had harsh storms the last month, lots of rainfall, but we do not have frost. We don't have snow in the Tableview, Cape Town, West Coast area. So it's a lovely time actually to start getting ready for your summer garden. So just to go through a couple of things that you need to start getting if you want to do the homegrown veggies route. Say you're going to save a lot of money. It's just a pleasure to look at your garden. Looking at it now, it just makes my heart warm, and it's great to pull something out of the ground or walk with your knife in there in the evenings and just cut a couple of leaves from your herbs or your greens for your home cooking. So let's just quickly go through everything that you're going to need. So you've got 2 weeks basically. Start getting ready, start getting everything, and I will try and be 1 week ahead of you guys just so that I can show you what to do. It's easy, guys. I know a lot of people say I don't have green fingers, everything I touch dies. There are veggies that grow so easy. You basically put them straight into your soil and it grows. So what we need is good soil. Go look at my compost video, how to make your own compost. If you do not have the space, go to Ayres, go to Stodels, go to Builder's Warehouse, go to any place that actually sells compost and go speak to the people there if you want to go the buying route. If you have the space, you don't need a bigger one like me. I just have a big garden, lots of trees that I need trimming, and I need a big compost area. You can get some pallets and you can basically build your own one. You can go to Builder's Stodels or Ayres and you can buy a small compost depending on your needs for your household. But let's start. Right, so first of all, guys, before we can do any planting, you are going to need soil. So either make your own compost or buy. You can buy a good seedling mix from your local store, or you can use your own compost. So I prefer to use my own because I know what's in here. This one that I have, I've left them out now at the same time. You can see these ones are still moist. And look at this one. So if you compare the two, the one is a lot moister than the other. I'm not saying this is a bad one. I'm just saying I prefer to use my compost mix. So as soon as you have soil or decide that you want to go buy soil, you've got to go think of what you want to plant, which we'll go into a bit later. You need to decide, where am I going to plant my plants? Some of them you can plant directly into your soil. I'm talking about radishes, beetroot, turnip, spring onions, carrots. All these you can sow directly into your garden. I sowed everything that I've got here directly into my garden, except for my Brussels sprouts and my cabbage and 6 of my spinach plants that I bought. The others were all seeds that were sown directly into my garden. Okay, so let's see what you're going to need. So first of all, you can go this route. You can go and spend money and buy this seedling growing box. So you can put your soil in, you put your seeds in, you put a piece of glass on top of that, and that helps for your seeds to actually start growing. It keeps it moist, it keeps it warmer. This is a very nice method to use, but it is expensive. If you are a starter in this whole homegrown gardening and want to begin the journey, I would not advise you to go and spend so much money. There are cheaper options. You can buy these polystyrene ones, different sizes. You can actually go to places like Value Baking Supply. I just bought these. You drill a couple of holes in it. You put your seeds in here. These ones you can reuse for many years. You can also buy these ones. I also bought these at Value Baking Supplies. I think these ones worked out to 50 cents an item. These ones worked out to 75 cents an item. Now what you've got to remember is when you plant out your seeds, as soon as it goes into the soil and it starts growing, a plant stresses just like we do. So every time you're going to remove it from the one container into a bigger container, into a larger one, and move it then into your garden, you're putting your plant through a lot of stress. Because every time they've got to adapt to the environment, the sun is coming from a different area, the soil is different. So always think of how big your plant is going to go and when are you going to plant it out or where are you going to plant it out. So if you've got quite a small plant like you want to start with your coriander, you can sow it directly into your soil. If you're scared of doing that and you want to keep it separate, or maybe you do not have a space for a garden, you're going to go the pot route, always try and look for a size that you're going to plant it in once until it's big enough to plant into the final pot. Don't move it around the whole time. So you can go this route. So if it's a larger pot or plant, rather go for the larger cup. Just make sure that you drill enough holes in the bottom so that you've got drainage with your water. Another route that I love doing this also, is I use toilet rolls. So I don't close them at the bottom. I just put them in a container just to make sure that I don't lose the soil. You can cut them and fold them, but that's why I have the container. So items like beans that's got long roots goes well in here. And before you start putting your soil in, make sure that you wet these containers. It just helps with the breakdown of the material when you finally put it down in the ground. The nice thing about this is I'm reusing. The paper actually breaks down and it feeds the soil. The plant grows until it's big enough. It will eventually grow through the bottom. It does go into the soil. It's got absolute no stress because it stays in its environment. This is a very nice route to go if you have space to keep all these toilet rolls. Another item I like to use, especially when I do my succulents, is I just use these 2-liter bottles or my tonic for the gin, and I drill a couple of holes in here just for my water drainage. This is a very nice, especially if you have got sun areas where your sun is in a narrow area and you don't have a lot of space for pots, or you want to keep it out of the wind, especially if you're in the Western Cape, you want to keep it out of the wind. All these different materials are items that you can use. I have tried this, the air container. It didn't work for me. There's just not enough soil in there. So what I'm using it for at the moment is I just use these containers like this to make holes into my soil when I plant the seeds. So I've got all my seeds spread out. You can use the bigger one. It works a little bit better. I just found that after a couple of weeks, it sometimes starts falling apart before you can actually get the plant out. And lots of times you don't make holes in here because the water actually absorbs everything. There's not enough space, one, and when you start cutting it or breaking it down, I just find this better to just put it in the ground, push it, and use the holes that it makes plant your seeds in. Then you've got to start getting something to know what you've sown. If you have a garden or you put something in a pot, you don't always remember exactly what you used in there. So there are different things that we can use. You can buy these plastic containers at any of your flower areas. I've got a couple of them, but then I have all these Chinese takeout sticks. I've got some kebab sticks. We have wine. So this is what I use, and we just write the name on them. You stick it in the garden, you stick it in the pot. You can also use some of these spoons. If you've got spoons, just write on there with a black marker and put it in the soil. You've got to remember what it is. If you are like in our household, it's sometimes you run in, I'm planting, but Connie wants to go grab a thing. She doesn't always know what I've put where. And a lot of the plants when they are younger look the same. So it's just easy to read. Celery, parsley, turnips, and that's the way to go. Another thing that I like to do is just to take some of my old yogurt tubs. I love recycling and reusing. I just take my old yogurt tubs, I cut them up like this, to keep them where I keep all my seeds, and every time I plant something, you can just cut a strip and put it into the smaller seedling containers. Even if you use one and you know that there are 6 or 12, you just cut one of these, take a permanent marker, write on them. Lots of nice recycling and reducing of our plastic footprint, guys. Right, so now that you have more or less everything, you also have to think ahead of how much soil am I going to buy, or how much compost am I going to buy, because you might decide to use a seedling mix first, and then after that you want to use a potting soil because you're going to go the planting into pots and not directly into your garden. So just go and look at all your pots that you've got. So I've got a massive selection. This is a very small section of what I have. Even use these bags. Guys, it depends on where you are. Because you're in a flat, maybe, it does not mean that you can't use. You might not have space for all these pots. These bags are a very nice way to basically store. They go flat. You can reuse them if you take out your plant nicely without tearing it. You can reuse them. So you can fill them. It doesn't take up any space. There's nothing wrong to actually take one of these bags and put a spinach in here. It will grow. You'll just have to make sure that it gets a bit more water, because when something is in the soil directly, it uses less water. But there's nothing wrong with using some of your grey water on here. So look at all the containers that you've got and work out how much soil you're going to need. There's nothing worse than the day that you want to actually, you have the time and you're in the mood and the weather is nice and you want to plant this and you don't have enough soil with you. So look at the containers that you've got, look at the amount of seeds that you have, and decide how much soil you're going to need. Make sure that you have enough before you start, because you can't just take it out and take out a plant, put it in halfway through, your soil is not enough. Your plant is going to go in stress mode. So when you do the transplanting, it has to be as quick as possible. Right. So let's talk about your seeds. First of all, look at what you have. You know, I'm sure everybody walks past the area in your grocery store and you see the seeds hanging there. And you get different makes. I'm not going to say the one is better than the other. I buy whatever I see. If it's something new, if it's something different, I buy it. Des and myself do a seed exchange. Des is a major seed collector. I'm very fortunate to have her on my friend list. So I always get nice seeds when she buys something new. There are many companies online that you can go and look at. I'll put names of companies in the description. So just go look at the description after this video. Plant what you eat. Do not plant stuff that are new and that it's nice. I do it because I want to taste everything and I want to incorporate new items into my diet, into my juices, everything. Plant what you're going to eat. So if you love spinach, put a couple of them on there. The more you eat it, the more you cut it, the more it's going to give you leaves. Plant more herbs. If you know you're a big basil person, plant 3 basil plants out of your maybe 6 seedlings that you buy if you don't want to go the seed directly. Maybe you have some left over. Maybe you've got some plants or herbs in your garden or in pots at the moment that you've left to seed. So you've got to start gathering all the seed, because this time of the year your plants are going to go into seeding stage, and they're going to start spreading or throwing down or dropping their seeds, and it's a good time for you to collect. So how do we store this? It's always best to store it in an airtight container and keep it in a container that actually is not see-through. So I actually keep all mine in little bags like this. I make my own bags. You can buy them. You get different little bags. Let's just see here. So I just do these off that were left from my kitchen use. So I love these pumpkins. I've taken some of the seeds and I've dried it. So they are in here. I have also placed them in a little container. So I will say crawlers. So I know that these ones are going to use a lot of space. I will plant them with my crawlers. I have another one with all the different tomatoes. So a lot of these I got from Des. I mean, she's got all, you can see some of these were harvested. You just put it on a kitchen towel and you dry it like that. A yellow cherry tomato. You also have to decide what type of tomatoes do I like. Don't go and plant tomatoes just for the sake of having a tomato plant. You've got to decide, do I like the big, larger ones? These ones actually came in through somebody's pans from Italy. So we're going to try this year. Decide on what you like, guys. Don't, like I said, don't go and plant something just for the sake of planting it because you have it. You have to eat it. Otherwise, we're going to waste. I have one for all my different flowers already because you need flowers in your garden. Always. So I've got some cosmos there. I've got some huisblomme. I've got the rain lily. Oh, I can't remember what that was. I think this was the cornflower. So you need your flowers. Make sure that you have at least 1 or 2 flowers in your garden or that you've got seed, because you can't plant only your veggies and think that it's going to work. You need pollinators. You need bees to come in and cross-pollinate your plants. So always make sure that you've got 1 or 2 flower seeds. Make sure that you've got your seeds that you like. Then I have my ones that I actually plant. So when you buy your seeds, just look at this one there. Always go and look at the back. It will tell you. You plant these ones in autumn or winter. It wants a full sun. You plant it directly. And it will tell you how far apart if you are a beginner. Keep this. So if you're not sure when you have to plant everything, keep them. Start putting them in containers and put all your winter plants. Put all your direct sunlight. Put all the ones that you have to plant in the summer. Go for plants that you can plant right through the year, every season. Radishes, carrots, turnips, beetroots, especially in the Western Cape. We are very lucky. We can plant anything. I mean, everybody told me you can't do a garden in the winter. Look at my garden now. You can do a garden in the winter. So make sure when you have I just reuse all my containers, guys. I don't like to waste plastic. So make sure that you have the seeds that you need. Seeds for Africa, they are not a sponsor. This is a lovely company. You can go look at the seeds. You can look at what the plant is actually going to look like. They tell you when to sow it, which temperatures, what to be careful of. So get all your seeds together. You have 2 weeks. Decide what you want to use. Go look at your sun that you have. Go look at your area of soil. Go look at what do you need. Western Cape has got sandy soil. When we moved in here, it was sand. You watered your lawn and the water just disappeared. Every 2 days you've got to do it. If you've got the right compost, if you start working in mulching to your sand, if you use a section, just start with a small section and put a couple of plants in there and keep on putting the soil, the good compost in it. This is sand, guys, with my compost. This is winter. It's today the 16th of July. This is what you can grow. A lot of the packets of seed that you are going to buy has got large amounts, and you might think, here, I've only got 3 pots. You can store them, guys. I've used seed that has actually been stored for 3 years. I've still used them. Just make sure that you store them right. Keep them in airtight containers. Keep them in a cool, dry place. And I like to put mine inside a container so that I don't have any sunlight. It just makes the seed think it's summer, it's winter, and it's fine for me just to rest. Right. Now the big question, what seeds must I buy? Where must I buy it? Go look at the description below. Go read up. I've put in a couple of links for you if you're in South Africa. Buy your seeds. If you're too scared to buy seeds, go buy seedlings. Make sure that you're planting them in the right sunlight. If it needs sunlight, be careful, guys. Our sun in Western Cape is really harsh. I am going to extend my garden. I'm going to move some of my plants around because I know where my little garden is now is going to have too much sun in summer, and I'll be planting more eggplants, tomatoes there, and move some of my greens, my radishes, my herbs to the other side, my raised bed, and maybe even into pots on the other side of my house where I have less sun. So work with me through the coming weeks. If you want to go onto this journey, go looking everywhere that you've got, see what you can recycle in your house. We are in lockdown. We are still in COVID-19. Money is not there to waste. I'm not saying don't support your local businesses, but let's all try and reuse what we can. Make it as affordable as possible for you guys, because the whole idea is to eat healthier, to save money. And so don't go waste a lot of money on new things when you might have containers in your household. Any old yogurt tubs, if you have a drill or otherwise, not take a knife point or something over a hot fire or a candle, make a couple of holes in there. Use your containers that you've got. You don't need to go buy new ones. Get ready, guys. 2 weeks from now, seeds are going into the soil. Happy planting. Alright, so you can see why I actually put a cage around my small green leaf garden. It's just to keep the pets out, and there's no way I would have been able to keep Bella out of here. I had a lot of seedlings that came up, and these are some of the ones that I transplanted. I oversown, and just to make, because I didn't know what was going to come up, and I don't know the seeds that well. So I've got some extra bok choy here that I've transplanted, and this I'll be giving to a family member. I've also got some rockets, and then here in the boxes in the front I've just got some herbs, little flowers. This just gets too big to put in your garden. It takes up too much space, so it's always better to take your rosemary and just keep it in the pot. I've got some sugar peas here in the back. I've got some flowers. These are what they call like the poppy flower. So these ones will come up here. We go through the gate. So on the side here we've just got some buings and lettuce. I've put them in the front because it's something that you just want to quickly go in and get. So I've got some different lettuce here, just greens for salads. I've got some radishes here. So I love radishes, I always have it, and I really want to say that everybody should grow radishes. It's one of those fast growers. Within 30 days you can actually harvest them, and it's just the feeling of just pulling out something. They grow so easily. Anybody with a black thumb can grow these, and it's just the feeling to pull out a radish that looks like this and actually go into your kitchen and just put it in your lunch, put it in a salad. I mean, I just chow them like this. The leaves, if you pull them out when they're quite small, the leaves you can actually eat. Some of them are like this. Let me just show you here. Some of them never make a fruit, which is okay, because what I use then is I use the leaves in my salads or in my smoothies, in my juices. These are nice, crunchy. They taste a lot like rocket. The bigger they become, the more hairy they are on the back, and the less, I don't know, it doesn't feel nice in your mouth when you've got all these hair here. So these on the side here is just my radishes. There I've got this thing planted itself. So that's a nice thing about putting your own veggies in your compost. You've got seeds that are actually coming up. So I'm sure that this is either a pepper or a chili tree. This pepper here that I've got here also came up by itself, and it's actually there. I've got two. It's not the time, but it's growing. So I've got my spinach here as well. You've got to see I've got to cut back again today because of the wind, the terrible winds that we had. There, I've got a little kale seed coming up. So what helps is if you don't know what you've planted, because a lot of time, you know, you start and you've got to, especially when you start like me where there was nothing, it's good to just put in something there, tell you what it is. Especially if I send Connie to the garden, she doesn't always know what I've planted where, and she wants to get something quick for a salad, then it helps her to see what it is. So here's a very nice thyme. It's a very nice lime thyme. They also grow very big and bushy. Oregano. Here's another kale that came from a seed. Look at this. So I'll be transplanting that a bit later. More spinach. We use a lot of spinach. We use it in our greens. We use it in our salads. We use it in our juices. I just love it in my wraps everywhere. So this is one of those little checkers things that I got, the little garden. I actually found a little mustard plant. Look at this. So I planted these from the seeds. Look at that. Very lovely, lovely, lovely greens in your salads. Some pumpkins coming up everywhere. I'm going to pull them out, and just for the reason being the time is not right. They're just going to take up space, and they're not going to grow. They're going to take out nutrients out of my soil, and it will never make a fruit. You see I've got a lot of leaves lying down, so I'll be cutting them back today, and we'll be making a nice stir fry today at lunch with a green juice. stay tuned and you'll see more of recipes that we use out of our garden.